Welcome back, everyone. This is Shamika with the NOSA Group. I am super excited to hang out with you guys today. I have been busy as always. November really comes in seriously. So I've been doing a couple of different Zoom and YouTube and Facebook sessions on one of the companies that I partner with here at the NOSA Group that I think might be of interest to you, and it's called SimplyText. So a little bit about texting in the recruiting, staffing arena and how it can benefit your business is what we'll talk about today. And then kind of how you want to think about technology in the future of your business. So technology, I'm going to start with technology. So technology is all around us. We use it on our phones, we use it on our laptops. It's a big part of our everyday life. But for healthcare staffing and recruiting, it's not always used as much as it probably should be, which I think many times leads to us missing a whole pocket of people. So a great example would be, I would say probably 3 or 4 years back, I've been a nurse for about 10, you would get an email message from recruiters, or you would get a message on Facebook or LinkedIn or Indeed about job opportunities. Like that became the means of communication when we kind of shifted out of phone calls and things of that nature. They would send you an email and kind of send you a snapshot of, hey, this is what we have open. And the communication from there would kind of be a little bit of a back and forth, probably would include a phone call or two. And then that's kind of how you got your next travel assignment or even staff assignment. As of recent, because of COVID, because there's been such a huge embrace of technology in that, hey, we could be doing things like 10, 20 times easier with technology because it really allows you to automate the experience, but keep it still personalized. So that's why I want to talk with you guys about SimplyText or SimplyTexting and kind of how recruiters use it today. So as it mentioned, probably between 2015 and 2019, the number of recruiting professionals who listed communication as an expertise on their LinkedIn profile went up 202%. Now that's an interesting statistic because I think it's a different style of communication than when we traditionally think of communication as a skill set. So I think the communication that we see, especially for healthcare and staffing and recruitment, is really more of the ability to catch the attention of the people. And it's not just about the post, it's how you post it, it's the time that you post it, it's what's included in the post, what's not included in the post on your message. So one of the challenges of modern day recruiters is how to reach candidates so that they put these skills to work. So that's why we're talking about text recruiting and how it's really come into play. So what is text recruiting? So we've seen it. We probably have never named it as such, but it's a tool where you send SMS messages to send people invites for interviews, check in after an interview, answer candidates' questions, notify candidates of new opportunities, and advertise new roles with text to apply or simply by texting. And there's probably a lot more. So I'll leave here at the bottom of this video a little bit of information about trying it out, because as a business owner, as a small business owner, I encourage people to test out stuff and see if it works for you. So many companies offer free trials, as does SimplyText. And it's important that you use those free trials because you want to make sure that, hey, this fits into my business model, as well as if it's referred by somebody that you trust or somebody who's been using the system for some time, that always gives it a little bit more of a boost as far as you feeling like it's a good fit because other people who are in the same industry as you have used it as well. So I'll leave the link here in the comments below, but why text recruiting is effective. So some of the things that I've seen on my end of the text recruiting piece is it's easy. So one of the benefits, not only to the recruiter, but also to the applicant, is that the exchange is easy. The exchange could be no thank you to an upcoming opening or job opportunity, or it could be, yeah, can you give me some more information? And potential employees respond to texts in less than 60 seconds. And I see that for sure, as well as recruiters are reporting response rates between 60 to 70%, which is really good. And the response isn't necessarily a type of response where you, as a recruiter or a human resources professional or an owner, have to be texting from your phone. You can simply be texting from your computer. So that's the other piece that I'll touch on a little bit here today. I will not say that if you're not set up to be mobile first, then your candidate experience will suffer. I totally agree with this. And you also have to kind of understand that there are some people who would agree with this communication about, like, I'm not used to communicating face to face. Can you conduct this interview via text? So there will be like big generational gaps, as far as there is a generation of people who only know how to communicate via apps and texting and things of that nature. And then there also is quite a bigger generation of people who are very accustomed to the face-to-face, that's kind of had to, create, have a little bit of a learning curve around what's happened for us to be able to do things face-to-face over the last 18, 20 months of COVID-19. So you always consider that candidates can't answer their phones at work and discuss job opportunities, which is very, very true. And one of the things that makes texting so nice is that it doesn't necessarily disrupt business, because the person can receive the text and reply immediately, or they can reply on their lunch break or their 15-minute break to what you're requesting. So it's not hurting the other business. And then also it allows you to send more than one message out to a group of individuals. And like I said, we'll touch on some of those things as well. So texting allows you to communicate at scale and speed without turning every interaction into a time-consuming email or phone call. So we touched on that earlier, as far as the way we traditionally used to do things. And also too, which I think is kind of specific to healthcare, not even just healthcare staffing or the nurse staffing side, is that in an industry that runs 24 hours, you have people like me, who was a night shift nurse, where I did not accept calls. My calls were on do not disturb when I got home from my overnight shift. So having the text there allows you to know, hey, it was delivered. And then whenever that individual is available, they'll respond. So that kind of takes it off your to-do list. It's why recruiting teams use texting and increase response rates while distractedly reducing response times. Why you shouldn't use your personal phone for text recruiting. So I think this is kind of obvious. This system and a lot of other systems definitely shy you away from using your personal phone. You don't want someone that doesn't know you have your personal contact information. It slows down the hiring process, because then you have to move them over to another system to get their information in, and it really doesn't allow for as much transparency. So just like with anything else related to that human resources side of the business, you want to do all of your business related things and business related tools. So here are some examples of how SMS recruitment works. In-demand candidates stay in the market on an average of 10 days before being hired. So your recruitment process is taking longer than that. If your recruitment process is taking longer than that, you inevitably are compromising on the quality of hires. The fact that 90% of texts are open within 3 minutes means that you can get in touch with shortlisted candidates faster, and therefore screen, interview, and fast track the hiring process. So you can always do texting one-to-one with candidates. So you can do SMS texting, where you're ensuring the message is sent to the person that you intended to, and it allows you to build a rapport. So sometimes after that initial text interaction and you actually are working with the individual on one-to-one, being able to quickly reach out to recruiters or human resources professionals about needs in that arena is really important as a traveling or a healthcare professional, just because you don't work those traditional core 9 to 5 hours. So being able to text someone quickly really is helpful. And also a lot of companies have available to you a compliance line or a number that you can call if there's emergencies, but typically you can also call and or text on that number. You can always, it makes it so much easier to send updates to applicants. You can share updates to applicants and their status and the process quickly. They give a cute little example here about kind of going to that next step with a potential applicant, getting their schedule. And I've already touched, and I'll share it here in the YouTube video. There is another platform or an appointment scheduling platform that kind of streamlines the process of, can you send me your availability for next week? And we'll talk, and I'll share some of that information in that video this week with you guys. But even this piece about setting up the appointment has gotten way easier through appointment scheduling tools. And then the last part, sending out reminders. So that's something that you can do on the back end of SimplyText platform, where you're able to not only set up the time through another link, appointment scheduling link, but you can also send out reminders to your applicants about interviews, whether it's in-person interviews or phone interviews, which is a huge, huge time saver. It saved me so much time incorporating that in my particular business model. So I know it'll save you a ton of time as well. If you want to ask questions, so you can definitely send sample interview questions or invitations, or just kind of things you want people to know. It encourages applicants to ask questions that they may not have, if the applicants are feeling good, are feeling relief knowing the company is not out of reach. This is a nice piece too, because you want to make sure that it's a good fit. So for me, having worked in the industry and still getting text messages, ironically, from companies, it's important for me in situations where I'm not interested in an opportunity, which is 9 times out of 10, I can say, okay, no, thank you. Or most of the text platforms have a place where you can just play stop or take me off of your list, just so that you're not reached out to anymore. And people who are actually interested and genuinely interested in a position can get connected with recruiters. So here's a quick example. I think this is just a couple of minutes of what it looks like in real time.
Pretty much everyone has a cell phone. Actually, the latest research shows.
Okay, so that was a great video, and I want to touch on a couple of things that it talks about in the video. And then if you have questions about the platform, feel free to reach out to me directly, or you can leave a comment here. So a couple of things I wanted to touch on is just the ability to do it from your computer. So one of the nice things is that you're able to see all the information in one platform and then message back and forth with people or direct them where they need to go, as well as a healthcare professional and agency owner, you can create templates. So some of the communications that we have with applicants and sometimes even employees is repetitive. Hey, don't forget to submit your time cards. Payroll's closing today at noon. Or, thanks for your interest in the position. Why don't you click on the link here and set up an interview with us? So those are things that you can create as templates, which allows you to really do the whole concept of drag and drop. So you have an opportunity, drag and drop. Or you have kind of the same language, and having the same language across the board is key. So you want to make sure that you're sending out the same messaging every time that an applicant or employee has an interaction with you or someone in your business. So that really helps you do that, so that you're not constantly typing the same thing over and over again. Some other things are the common recruitment SMS use is in the promotion of new roles. There are two types of ways that you can do that in the system. You can text an existing database of candidates, as well as promote with text to apply. And this kind of gives an example of sending a text to an existing database. So the information that you share in the system, you can create and recreate. So you can create a database of potential applicants to certain roles and they become a group, or you can, of course, what they're showing here, send a text for people to apply to the position. And always, you want to get consent to send text messages. You want to get consent by them to send any messaging. And this is kind of what I touched on earlier, where people who are receiving messages and maybe no longer want to receive them for whatever reason can always press stop in the text box and be able to stop receiving them. So here's a quick example of using text, email blast, or text blast to your database following these simple steps. So that was really nice. And some of the things we saw there, I just talked about, but I wanted to touch a little bit on a couple of things that it mentioned as far as grouping. So the examples that they showed there really talked about grouping based on a product type of business. But of course, we're in the service-based business, and a lot of the groupings may look like this: CNAs in Delaware, CNAs for long-term care, nurses or registered nurses for a med surg floor in New Jersey. So you can group in that way. And then I also like the idea of being able to send pictures, because this is something you can use for employees as well. So if you wanted to send just like a text picture telling them, hey, happy Thanksgiving or happy birthday, you can do that also. And then also you can always send like group chats or group texts to employees about reminders about, hey, it's flu season. If you're getting your flu vaccine, make sure that you send your flu vaccine information to, human resources at thenosagroup.com or info@thenosagroup.com. Make sure you update all of your personnel or compliance information. And these are all text messages or group text messages that you can schedule out today. So I am a planner. I love to plan it out. I schedule out so many things, especially when it comes to group texting and social media. It is a life changer. About 3 years ago, when the business first got started, I was doing so many things manually. I tell the story so many times about like, hey, I went from a nurse working the floor for 12, 13, 14 hours a day to a business owner working 16 hours a day. And part of the reason was because I didn't have enough of the right technology in place and a good understanding of it. So I ended up doing so many manual tasks. So this is a great tool to eliminate that for yourself. It really allows you to, because it does track the conversations, allow you to do that as well. So it eliminates some of that, oh, well, you didn't tell me that. I sure did. And it has delivery stamps, as well as if you're doing a campaign looking for potential applicants, You can look under the results of that campaign, that text campaign, to see how many people opened it, how many people opted out. So you can kind of see how well that type of campaign does. So, and I'm going to wrap it up here with you guys. This is a great text recruiting template that you can use. And all of the things that'll be variable, you can just leave blank and then be filled in later. One of the things I will say as a owner is to make sure that in any messaging, whether it's texting, social media, Facebook, conversations, and things, or Indeed or Monster posting online, it's important to give people the next step. So kind of how it says here, hey, this is the opening for Class A team drivers. Minimum 1,862 weekly plus benefits for 48 hours, no touch. 1 hour OTR experience required, call. So you always want to make sure that you're kind of giving them the next step to do so that you don't lose on potential applicants, because just sharing the information is something you can do on social media. But in these instances, when you're running campaigns or you're sending out for a specific need, you always want to tell people, call, apply, email, send your resume. That's the next step in the process. Join us on our job fair, get more information, register. So those types of things. So, of course, one of my favorite places, Chick-fil-A, is another example of using text to apply action. So you text 555-888, you text chicken, and then you'll get information or really get this type of link to go about applying. And I'm sure they do really well with those types of messaging. Again, the same thing. This is for a barista. The barista was the code. You can put nurse or med surg nurse. Those are all things because you wanted to make it easy as possible for people to remember what to text, like in this case, chicken, so that they can make the correlation. So we'll check out this last video. I'll wrap up and then I'll share with you guys a little bit about what we're offering in our partnership with SimplyTexting. And that is almost about all that I have. I've already touched on using them. You guys can use them for applicants, and not only for applicants to apply to a particular position, For those who may not be interested in that particular position or aren't available at that time, they can always subscribe to those text messages to be received on a regular basis. So like say if your agency was sending out text messages every Monday, then the subscriber would receive a text message every Monday. So as always, you always want to give people the option to opt out. So make sure that you include that. I found the SimplyText platform to be super easy friendly, super user friendly, and easy to maneuver through. It is as self-explanatory as you see the videos show things to be. And they do give you the opportunity to check out a free trial and test it out for yourself. I tell people test it out with friends and family members. If you so desire, you can always test it out with some of the employees, just kind of depending on the way you want to use it. As a NOSA, I encourage people to think through what are some ways, like more than just what they're offering, what are some other ways you can use a particular platform with business-related things? So it talks about a lot of text messaging platforms allow you to either do one-to-one with customers or send bulk SMS. You want a platform like SimplyTexting that enables you to do both, which I agree, it's so important. If you need to integrate with other platforms like an applicant tracking platform or send out automated text messages, you'll want to receive other multiple SMS integration. So they do integrate with some of the platforms, applicant tracking platforms. If you plan on using a text recruiting software for two-way messages for applicants, you want an SMS box with the functionality to manage multiple conversations. And that's kind of what we saw above. And if you want to send weekly reminders, kind of like what I was just touching on, to team members or staffing agencies to request timesheets, perfect example. You'll want to ensure reoccurring campaigns are available, which of course they do offer. If you want to get more information, you can definitely check it out here, and I'll drop their link there, as well as I'll share with you guys a link to start your free 14-day trial. And if you want a demo, you can definitely do that as well. As always, thank you. This is Shamika with the NOSA Group. I am super excited to be here and sharing some information about some of the things that we use here to make working as a small business owner easier, as well as making sure that you guys have access to tools and resources that will help you grow your business and understand how technology can alleviate some of the pressure and some of the work involved in our day-to-day businesses, so that you're not spending time on things that technology or a person in technology can support you in doing. So thanks as always. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and I will be back. As I mentioned before, I'll be dropping into YouTube the actual Zoom video that I did on Calendly, which is the appointment scheduling platform, and some other videos we've done.